One other tool that's kind of interesting is the mesh tool. And the mesh tool can be really helpful for faking three-dimensional shapes or adding light and shadow to forms. One of the sort of drawbacks though is you can't expand the form. So there are some limitations, but just as an example, say I wanted to make a ball that felt like it was responding to light and shadow. And so I'm going to change the circle I just made to be a red ball. Let's just bring this up. So if I select my shape and I go to the mesh tool, what this is going to allow me to do is to create a grid across my image. And I want to be sort of slow and procedural about this. You don't want to add too many. When you click in the middle of a shape, it'll add a line going across, just like that. And when I click on the edge, it'll just create one moving this way. And so I'm just going to create a couple so they're overlapping, and we'll do one here, just so I have a form looking like this. And actually I might do one more coming down this way right here. There we go. So what you can do is when you have your shape selected, if you go to your direct selection tool, you can select any of these points and you can apply a separate color to them. So for example, if I wanted my bright spot of my shape to be right here, I'm going to select this color, go to my color panel, but again, make sure you have show options turned on and choose HSB. It's just a little bit easier to work with. And here I'm going to increase the brightness on this one spot and then come down to here, and I'm going to select by holding down Shift with my white arrow and select these anchor points, and let's go to my form here. So I'm going to go up to where there was that red, and increase the amount of sort of black in that space. And so when I click off, I can see that's already starting to come together. So here on this right here, I can select inside these areas, hold down Shift, and maybe this one also gets a little bit brighter. And make sure you go back to our HSB. See, that's going to get a little bit there, but maybe I want it to be a little bit lighter and a little bit darker there. Cool. And you can kind of work slowly as you go through this. You can also sample colors as you go along. What's up? Cool. And so that's starting to get a nice sort of form there. And then on this back edge, I might do something like select these points and just have a little bit more of the white come back in there. So it feels like there's a little bit of light source coming from the backside. When I click off, you see how I'm starting to get this three-dimensional sort of form. Now you can mess this up and make it weird, right? So I could take this line here and I can drag down all of those shapes. And you see how it's going to overlap and form each other. So it's going to be a little bit wonkier. It also means you can take these shapes out and expand them. So if you want this to feel like it's really sort of spiking out. And what's kind of interesting is if you take this color here, you know, what if you went something totally different? And this one here, go something totally different. And this one here. And if you want to draw, say, a selection around these top shapes, go to your selection tool, that's the lasso or the letter Q. And this you can freeform draw a selection. So here I might go in, let's just make it super weird. Let's do a green. Maybe yellow. Cool. So now you got something that is pretty dynamic. There may be situations where you want to do something like this. There might not. You know, and this you are kind of bound to using this mesh tool inside here. You cannot go to object and expand or expand appearance, but you can, you know, implement this in lots of places. And so, for example, if you were doing a graphic of a face, this would be a really good way to do subtle changes in tone and shadow.